What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Thank you all so much for tuning back in here for another weekly live stream here. Again, answering some questions and discussing all things NC State, all current events within NC State as well. As always, joined by Greg the Leg, Michael, and Layden Smith, myself. So make sure, again, for those who are tuning in with us, make sure once again, as always, hit that like button if you don't mind. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, so that way you don't miss out whenever we release some NC State content. And also, to give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram if you haven't already. But jump right into it here. So, we'll go ahead and again, I think we always like to kind of start with the negative and then, if kind of go start from the bottom and end in the upswing. So obviously the most disappointing news, I think, unfortunately, is the news that Pac-9 got swept by Wake Forest this weekend, all three games, and even the one on Sunday, which is, I think, the one that I was the most hoping that we could win that game just because it was senior day. And to get shut out 5-0, I think to me is the most disappointing thing, honestly, of the entire weekend. I think for me, honestly, probably the most disappointing thing that's happened so far this season, just because of the fact that with guys like David Harrison, but JT Jarrett, Devontae Brown, these guys and all they've done for the program that we couldn't even get one run for those guys, and we couldn't even win the game for them, against a beatable Wake Forest team. It's not like they're playing, whoever's hot right now. But again, because there's a ton of other teams that are hot. I mean, Wake Forest is hot too, but again, it still was winnable. So, any kind of original thoughts, kind of driving off of that, really?
Greg, you can take it first.
Yeah, considering the previous weekend, we had a lot to play for to potentially get a top pod seed, and then to not come away with that at Duke, and then just come out flat. There's no other way to describe it. It was a very uninspiring. It wasn't like they didn't play hard, but it just didn't work out to what we had hoped. We had our chances on Thursday. We were right there, and we kind of gave up any hope in the ninth, and then the other two games we just got outplayed. There's no other way to describe it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And because honestly too, because one of the things that's crazy too is that in these basically, I would say probably a month ago, we were right in that conversation of, honestly, just like you're saying, hosting a regional, and we're even in the conversation too of winning the Atlantic. And then here we are 14 games later, and we went 7 for 7. And I think we went 3-6 in the ACC.
3-6. Yep.
Yeah. So, again, it's just, it's a head scratcher. And unfortunately too, with us getting swept, we also end the season too with a losing ACC record at 14-15. So that hurts too, not going to lie. But go ahead, Michael.
Yeah. Getting swept is never good, and it's even worse when it's the last week series of the regular season, and it's senior day, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't know. It really, going into Wake Forest series, we still had a chance to win the Atlantic, and instead we finished fifth.
Yeah.
That just shows how tough and competitive the ACC has been this year. But we wish we could have came out on the other side. But
yeah, and I think too that really the highlight out of it, or the biggest, I guess, just biggest factor that contributed to it is obviously, first of all, heading the ball, we only had 3 hits the entire game, which is very unlike us. Like Gino didn't have a single hit
the whole weekend,
and Gino didn't have a single hit on Sunday, which is very unlike Gino. So again, it's just it's odd, but also too the main thing though is I think the relief pitching. I think that's been unfortunately the issue the entire season has been our relief pitching hasn't been up to snuff. I think overall, starting pitcher wise, even without Sam Highfield, we felt pretty strong with guys like Kenyon Silver, Matt Willits, and company. But and then obviously Chris Villeman's been struggling a little bit as well. But overall, he played well yesterday for the most part, and only allowing 2 hits in a little bit over 2 innings, but and not giving up a single run. But again, it's just really come down to inconsistency hitting the ball, and pretty much, unfortunately, haven't really been able to find much in relief. I think that's really been the 2 glaring errors or issues with this team this season.
Yeah, you bring up, the starting pitching. It's done its job. I mean, I wouldn't say it's been
Yeah.
lights out or stellar,
Yeah.
but they gave you
No.
they gave you a chance to win the ball game, and that's all you
Mhm.
can ask for, right? Turn it over to your
Yeah.
pen, keep yourself in it, within arm's reach. And we just, for whatever reason, mid to late innings have been our Achilles heel. Whether it's pitching, whether it's fielding, whether it's just not be able to get a timely hit, you add all those up, and that's not a good trifecta to have.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And Major Wolf says we should all be wearing black for this last weekend. And I mean, I do think it's kind of like an eye roller that we're facing Wake Forest in the first game on Wednesday, and just again, I don't know what
Tuesday.
it is, but it's Tuesday. Okay,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, and then we play Wednesday as well. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But again, one of the things I just can't like. I don't know how to react to it. Kind of like, am I supposed to laugh at this? Am I supposed to cry at this? Is I think I saw a tweet saying how Wake Forest has beaten us in football, men's basketball,
Yeah.
and baseball, and they're 6-0 against us in those sports. And
Yep.
again, it's crazy to me because for those who are tuning in, one thing is that we're working on, or one of the things that we've talked about is, or I guess that we've noticed is that Wake Forest actually doesn't really have any kind of like fan podcast per se. Like they have like a 24/7 sports podcast, kind of like our Pack Pride per se, but they don't really have like a fan podcast per se, which is it just to me just again just shows that Wake Forest fans for the most part they're academics. I mean that's all they focus on. That's all they really have their minds set towards. And also too, they don't really have the biggest alumni, which I get. I think they only
Yeah.
graduate 4,500 to 5,000 students. Sorry, they only have
No, that's
a
total.
active current
Yeah.
student base of 4,500
Yeah.
to 5,000
It's
students.
like the second smallest Power 5 school.
Right. So I mean, so I completely get that. So it just kind of like annoys me per se. Not necessarily that they have it better than us. I wouldn't necessarily say they have it better than us for sure. But I mean, I would just say that
They've been better recently. Yeah.
they've been better recently. I mean, football wise, I mean, Dave Clawson has been just an
Mhm.
absolute diamond in the rough that they just absolutely hit a grand slam on. And we have been saying for the biggest time, I'm a huge respecter of Dave Clawson. There's no doubt he's done a great job of what he is given, and he deserves 100% to go somewhere where he can get paid a lot more. He has a lot more resources, and who knows then. But obviously, he signed a contract extension with Wake Forest that is undisclosed because they're a private school. And so obviously he's sticking around, which I mean, hey, I can't blame him because there's no way they're firing him as long as he wants to be there.
Yeah.
So, but then again, with basketball, with the first year being good, much better than us, obviously, but so still. I mean, obviously didn't quite end the way that I think they wanted it to. And then baseball, they've been really competitive this year, baseball. So it's again, so Greg, I mean, what are your kind of general thoughts on that? First of all, I mean, again, it's just a crazy thing to think about that Wake Forest is. I mean, right now they're pretty much on top right now in athletics.
Yeah, I mean they're our Achilles heel at the moment, and I think that's just give them props for hiring the right staff and
Yep.
recruiting and playing hard. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just about want and will, and they've just
Yeah.
had that over us for whatever reason. And I'm sure we can look back and we've had streaks over them just like they're having streaks over us. I think it's a ebb and flow type thing. And right now it's just their moment. So at some point we'll break through. I have no doubt about that. But we're definitely we're facing an uphill battle because of them. Either whether it's been in football where they kind of edged us out for the ACC, the right to go to the ACC championship, whether it's a better seed in the baseball tournament coming up. So we should definitely be marking them on our calendars more often than we're not.
Absolutely. Well, and again, I mean, it's great for the ACC, so that's what I'm saying. I'm not really complaining necessarily in terms of like in the big picture perspective that it's good for the ACC to have Wake Forest to football wise is has had its highs, but it's also had its lows. And then basketball that pretty much hasn't really been much since the Tim Duncan, Chris Paul era. So I mean, it's good to see them pump up, but I mean,
Yeah.
and obviously we don't really necessarily need it in baseball because holy crap, the ACC overall is loaded, so it's not like we need it for baseball. So yeah, I mean, again, I think that this year, I mean, again, I'm circling that Wake Forest game. I'm telling you, like, if for football, I am circling that Wake Forest game. That is
Mhm.
like honestly, I would say that if okay, because personally, I'm circle that ECU game is one of the biggest ones for I think for state fans. Just but I think that in terms of overall benefit of the program, that if Clemson wasn't so dominant on the road and it wasn't so tough to beat them on the road, Wake Forest would be the biggest game, honestly. Because I mean, it's right there. But I would say that honestly, the fact that beating Clemson on the road is so hard, that puts it over the edge for sure. But I mean, Wake Forest, I think is honestly, if we're going to win the ACC this year, we're gonna have to go through Wake Forest. Believe it or not, I think we're gonna have to go through them again.
Yeah.
So,
and Clemson plays at Wake the week before we travel to them. So, we could be in a good position if Clemson beats Wake the week before and then we go and beat Clemson. We'd be in good position the rest of the season and just having to beat Wake.
So. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but are they playing at Clemson or at Wake?
At Wake.
It's at Wake, yeah.
Wow, that's gonna be a big game. That is gonna be a big game.
For us, it's a revenge game. They got us last year. We just didn't get that onside kick, and that was a high scoring affair too. I don't remember the final score, but it was like 40 something to 30 something. I think, or I don't know. There was a ton of points scored in that game.
If I'm not mistaken.
I want to say it was like 41-38 or something, or 30. Yeah, 35-38. There was a lot of points.
3-point game.
Yeah.
And just the other thing is if Wake beats Clemson the week before and then we also beat Clemson, that pretty much eliminates Clemson by week 5 from the division. So then it becomes really just us and Wake. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Because once again, in a lot of betting books, they almost have it that Clemson, you could basically bet, does Clemson win the Atlantic or does anybody else win the Atlantic?
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that's, again, I don't understand that whatsoever, how they could be so overhyped. Like, I'm definitely taking the field. I'm not taking Clemson to win it. I think either us or Wake Forest will take it. But I mean, I wouldn't even look over Boston College either. Don't look over Boston College.
Or Florida State.
Florida State.
Yeah. It's
I mean,
Florida State's
we'll see.
Probably 1 year away.
I still think they're 1 year, but it was a closer game than I thought it was going to be last year.
Sure.
Well, but it was in Tallahassee, so there's some automatic points there for that. But
exactly. I think that's the biggest thing. Is I think that for there's certain stadiums, like for example, just again, it's tough to win in certain stadiums. It just is. It's just an intimidating environment. Florida State is definitely one of those. So, but yeah. So because for those who maybe aren't aware already, one of the reasons why we have the background as the football field is because over this past week, since our last weekly live stream, we have officially hit double-digit days until kickoff against ECU. And as crazy it is to believe, and as crazy it is to think that it felt like just yesterday that we were getting the news that UCLA backed out of the Holiday Bowl. Like, here we are, less than 100 days away.
And that was exactly 5 months ago, right? It was December 23rd, wasn't that or was it later?
That sounds right.
It was later. No, it was later because I think the game was like on the.
It was 29th. After. It was after. Yeah, it was after Christmas.
Never mind.
29th sounds right.
Only reason I remember is I had COVID. So.
Yeah.
But can we go back to baseball for real quick though?
Please, Greg. What you got for us?
No, let's just finish that up real quick about the ACC tournament. So we're in a pod now with Miami and Wake Forest. We have to win both games, and Miami has to lose both for us to advance. So if folks that don't understand how it works, if the seeds get all 1-1, 2-1, however the combo works out, the highest seed team advances. So it's do or die for the pack at this point in the ACC tournament to advance.
Yeah.
And I think we definitely have to win one. I don't know, maybe two, because we're on the bubble now for the NCAA. So every game really matters. I mean, I know we're in the postseason, but it really is, do or die, I think, at this point, because there's only that the D1 ranking came out. They did their projections, and there really isn't like anything like they do for basketball, either men or women or football. It just doesn't get the hype. So this is one person's thought process. It doesn't mean it's official. But that guy or that team does a really good job of covering the sport. So if you put any credence in that, we might be in some trouble.
And I think
Yeah.
the NCAA, like if you go to the NCAA website, they pretty much use D1 baseball as their reference point, even though it's not.
Yeah.
It's technically just one publication, but
yeah.
And
but like you
'cause,
said,
I mean, go ahead, Michael.
I was gonna say, like you said, I think one. Yeah, obviously you want to win both in advance,
Yeah.
but I think we got to win one. Miami is number 8 in the RPI, and Wake is number 11 in the RPI. So I mean, both
Crazy.
those would be good wins to help our resume. If we don't, I think if we win both and make it in advance, I think we'll be safe. I think we got to at least win one to not kind of worry about it on selection day.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, for me, this is one of those tournaments that I wish. I mean, even though Charlotte's pretty close to. I mean, overall, I mean, it's only an hour or two away. I mean, I wish it was in Durham because, like, honestly, I would love to do like a Thursday and just go to these games because it's going to be crazy competitive. Like, who the heck knows who's going to win this thing? Honestly, who the heck?
It's
knows?
wide open.
It's wide open, and it's still crazy to me to see Virginia Tech as the number 1 seed. That's still crazy to me too.
Yeah.
And even looking at like the D pool, seeing I think it was Notre Dame, Florida State, and Virginia. That is a loaded pool right there.
Yeah, you had Notre Dame that was one game away from the College World Series. Virginia was in the College World Series, and FSU is always the top 10, top 15 program. So, I would almost call that the pool of death because that's an insanely good, history. Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, I think that for these guys, I mean, if they want to advance, you got to win both. For NCAA wise, you got to win at least one for sure. But I mean, I honestly think that even if we beat Wake Forest and lose to Miami, I'm not necessarily sold yet that we make it in. But again, because it's crazy. It's crazy to believe that literally a month ago we were getting in the conversation for hosting a regional, and here we are on the border right now of not even making the tournament.
Yep,
it's crazy.
Yeah, I think the Miami win would be more impressive just because Wake it's a good win, but we just lost 3 in a row to them right before that.
Exactly.
And we haven't played Miami, so.
Well, that's what I mean, and that's why I'm saying that I don't know if the committee would be like, okay, you got 1 out of 4. Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
and it would be interesting to see. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, I was just.
Go ahead.
And also just one other thing, the 3 that you lost were at home. The one that you win is at a neutral site. So, anyway, go ahead, Greg.
No, the only thing I was going to say, I don't know, and I didn't get to watch a lot of stuff this weekend as I had plans, but I don't know what day. Like, does Miami play Wake before they're like? Do we know that off the top of our heads?
I think
because the reason I say that. Go ahead.
We play early, so we play Wednesday and Thursday.
Day.
Wake and then Miami and Wake don't play until Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. So it won't be decided. So we'll get Miami's best. So where I was going with that, if they had already locked up the pod, then they might have thrown out a junk pitcher or whatever. So we're really going to have to earn it. I mean,
Yep. Which I mean, again, it's not undoable. I mean, it's not impossible for this team by any stretch of the measure. No. It's just again inconsistency.
It's
really
want and will.
Yeah, exactly. And but again, I think that talking kind of long term about this team once again. I mean, obviously, one of the biggest news is that Tommy White got ACC Freshman of the Year, which is no shocker whatsoever. And
I was surprised.
Yeah, right. But I mean, wouldn't be again? I'm sure he's right there in the talks too for National Freshman of the Year too. I'm sure he's right there in the talks as well. I know there's a couple other guys. I think one guy from Texas, if I'm not mistaken, hit 27 home runs, which I can't remember if he's a freshman or not. But anyway, so that was one of the biggest pieces of news, which is great. And then Gino got second team All ACC. Devontae got third, and then Tommy got first as well.
And Villeman got third.
Villeman got third.
Mm-hmm. Which again, that's underperforming for sure for Villeman. For a talent like Villeman, definitely should be at least second string, if not first string. Yeah. He should be in the conversation for the best closer in the ACC. He should at that point. I'm not saying from what he's done this year. I'm just saying from his talent alone. Go ahead, Michael.
No, early in the season, I think he definitely was. But blew a couple saves here and there, and
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I think that the future, next year I think will be a lot different. I think again, hearing what happens with Sam Highfill, hearing what happens with Chris, will be big. But I mean, if those two guys come back combined with the guys that we have coming back, like the Genos, the Tommy Whites, the Noah Souls, I mean, we're going to be a good position. And once again,
who's
and
for
Green.
sure leaving?
So Hood is out of eligibility.
Jarrett.
Wait,
Jarrett.
Really? Josh Hood's out of eligibility?
So.
I think he is.
Because he played a couple years played a couple years at Penn and then at Charlotte too, right? Or am I mixing him up with somebody else?
No. I think he's out of eligibility. If not, he only has one more. But I'm 95% sure he's out. I'm 95% he's out.
Maybe. Okay.
It'll also depend on his draft status. He's draft eligible too, so some of that will make determinations. But yeah, if you're not talking, leaving because of draft status,
he's a redshirt junior, so he's got one more year.
Okay. My apologies then. So the only ones then that are truly leaving are the ones they honored yesterday with Harrison, JT, Brown,
Devontae.
and Silverado.
Mike Oldpath,
Kanan Silver,
something like that. Kanan Silver too. Yep, and then Matt something. I can't Oldpath. Something like that.
Player.
So depending on other draft eligible players, we should be in a good spot next year. Yeah.
Hopefully, again, a lot will happen. I mean, the transfer portal is 100% a thing. So, who knows?
Too early.
Way too early, exactly. Major Wolf did ask though. Question: does anyone understand the handling of Villeman? And not really, honestly. I don't really get it, honestly. But I mean, we're not going to sit here and question Avon and Chrysler and Coach Hart. I mean, so I don't really understand it, but I think almost kind of to a point, it's kind of like you're the best reliever that we have, even though you're technically not supposed to be a reliever. You're supposed to be a closer, but you're the only one we really have. So
it's trust.
Exactly.
I think it's just trust.
Yeah,
he needs an out, and he knows that he can probably get it from Villeman, whether it's in the 7th inning or the 9th inning.
He's your best shot to get it. He's your best shot to get it, right?
True.
But he hasn't necessarily gotten it every single time, which has been the frustrating part. But again, so kind of heading. Go ahead, Michael. What you got?
I was just gonna wrap it up. Tuesday at 3.
Yes,
we play Wake, and then Wednesday at 7 we play Miami.
Does it say anything in terms of TV, ACC Network? Hopefully,
it's all Bally Network or RSN.
Yeah,
it's RSN.
Yeah,
for you guys, it's Bally. For me, it's Masson. Living up here in Northern Virginia. So for North Carolina folks, it's going to be probably Bally.
Hopefully one day the ACC will get a network where they actually show ACC sports on it, right?
Well, I think some of that was just the way the contracts were negotiated. I think as you see these things drop off, I think they'll just naturally roll over to ACC network. But who knows?
Again, it's just that, Bally Sports is such a tough thing to get, access to. But also, again, it just makes sense. You'd have the ACC tournament on the ACC network. It's just, to me, common sense. So,
yeah, women's basketball is the same way too. They do the first couple rounds on the RSN, so it's annoying. But I will say, listening to the guys that were doing the Duke series last weekend, I did find it enjoyable listening wise. It wasn't a bunch of homers for Duke, so I'm not going to complain about that. I thought the camera work was a little bit better, so there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, I'm gonna let Greg here start talking about Sanaya Rivers real quick. I've been refreshing off of COVID, and so I've been literally coughing nonstop. So I'm gonna grab my water right over here real quick, and I'll let Greg start talking about Sanaya real quick. I apologize, y'all.
You're good, brother. Yeah, man, we got Sanaya Rivers, former 5-star recruit out of Wilmington. She had originally committed to South Carolina. Played her freshman year there. Saw limited minutes. I think she averaged about 3 or 4 points a game. I don't have her stats in front of me, but I think she was playing less than 12 or 14 minutes a game, so not a whole lot. She was the 3rd overall player out of her class when she recruited. A great get. Yeah, she can dunk. That is true. Yep. Let's not forget that. That should be like number 1 stat.
Right.
So A great get. I posted on I don't know, one of my social channels last week. We've officially not rebuilt. We've retooled with that signing. We were in the mid. Depending on who you subscribe to, we were anywhere from 12 to 16 to 17 in the upcoming, too early rankings.
Right.
I think this puts us solidly back in the top 10. I would say anywhere from 6 to 8 entering. I think we have one more scholarship, if I'm not mistaken. I think we still have one
more,
left. So I'm sure if Coach Moore finds the need to go get one other piece, that's going to be great. It will be interesting to see, though, how this all comes together. We did a great job managing, and I'm going to use this word, and I don't mean it in disrespect, but any egos last year. But we had a very top-heavy class with juniors and seniors. We do now have younger ladies in the program, so I'm hoping all of that comes to fruition.
Yeah.
There's nothing, animosity of what we're doing, and then everyone gets good buy-in.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh yeah,
and I think everybody on the roster has at least 2 more years of eligibility, and in women's basketball, you don't see many players leaving early to go to the WNBA draft unless they're one of the top players in the country. But we're pretty set for the future.
Well, because think about it once again, just like last year, we had the problem. So this year, you're going to start theoretically Diamond Johnson at the point, Sanaya Rivers at the guard, Jakia Brown Turner at the 3, Jada Boyd at the 4, Camille Hobby at the 5. But River Baldwin could easily start some games. Yeah. And then, but even still on the bench, you got River Baldwin, you got Mimi Collins. You got options and options. Madison Hayes. Oh, love me some Madison Hayes. So James. Is that James? So it's
James.
And it's again, it's just a rally of options right now. And again, I think that
Sophie Hart. We forgot Sophie Hart.
Oh yes, Sophie Hart, absolutely.
Yeah, another 5-star, just another on the bench.
Yeah. Well, and again too, I think that it's just crazy to think about where we are again as a women's basketball career program. Again, I mean, it was 10 years ago that Westmore came on, and we were Harper, and again, not to say hate on Kelly Harper, but it's crazy to think about that she's now the head coach of Tennessee, and then 10 years ago she was like, getting us the NCAA tournament, getting us a win or two in the ACC tournament kind of deal, and here we are 10 years later. She's at Tennessee, and Westmore's like bringing in the highest rated Carolina in terms of North Carolina, South Carolina recruit in the history of the rankings, which is crazy to think about. So, like, we brought her in as a transfer. She literally went to college and said, "I want to go to NC State." That's crazy.
We've now brought in 3 former McDonald All-Americans in Collins, Baldwin, and Rivers. So that's most people would die to have that, one McDonald's All-American. We've got 3. Plus, I think Sophie was another one. And so I think we got like 4 or 5. Yeah. I think we got 4 or 5 at least McDonald's All-Americans on this team. So like I said, it's not. Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. So
yeah.
I just realized that we have a River and a Rivers on the team now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, at least it ain't the last name. At least like the difference between the last names on the back is River and Rivers. At least. So what if Sanaya Rivers starts breaking some records, and then you got 2 Rivers in the record books, one for football and one for women's basketball.
Yeah.
So
I totally didn't even make that connection too. The last NC State athlete that was Rivers is pretty good.
Just saying. But one thing which I thought was interesting though, was I was reading an article that was saying that apparently that her decision really came down to NC State and UNC, and her decision really came down to filling in spots. So State graduated 4 players, and 2 of them played her position. So she saw that there was more potential for her there at NC State than at UNC. So, definitely interesting. That basically came down to numbers really than anything else.
Yeah. I also read an article said that she likes to play in small gyms.
Good one.
I will never let that go. I will never let that go. So.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, again, and that's what we were saying is that honestly, it's I'm kind of okay that she said it, because it's like, hey, now Blackheart will be a name synonymous with NC State fans for as long as she's at UNC, and probably forever as the woman, her first real year at UNC to say Reynolds Coliseum was a small gym. So absolutely. And also too, Major Wolf says, anyone see that joke on Twitter about Raina turning into Rivers? No. Do you know that joke, Greg?
Well, think about it. Rain turning into Rivers.
Rain
Ah.
turns into Rivers.
I like it.
What is that COVID done to you over there, Leighton?
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's been a wacky day.
Slow.
All right.
No, it's all good, man.
But yeah. So again, I mean, huge get. I know for me, I was poking fun at my wife, who was a South Carolina grad, being like, hey, at least she's gonna transfer somewhere, at least come to NC State, right? She was like, yeah. So again, definitely huge get. But I mean, South Carolina's gonna be loaded though.
They're not hurting.
For sure. No, they're for sure the favorite.
I'm happy to take leftovers, South Carolina leftovers. So
yeah,
throwaways.
I think South Carolina
just fine here.
I think South Carolina could put anybody around Aaliyah Boston, and they're probably going to win most of their 99% of their games this year. So, yeah. And then honestly too, Virginia Tech too. I know they've kind of reloaded some too, so they're going to be really good this year too. So, ACC this year between Carolina, between Louisville's reloading again. Florida State, Notre Dame took a step. Absolutely. Virginia Tech. Again, it's going to be a competitive ACC this year. So
I don't want to say it, but Carolina's probably going to be a little bit better. Even, they were, a tournament team, and they got another year under their belts. So bring it on.
Well, again, it's kind of scary though. That literally just came down to her reasoning came down to numbers. Nothing like, that's what she said. Her biggest reason came down to really numbers, not really anything else, which is kind of scary. But again, hopefully there's more there than I'm reading into. So
there's numbers in NIL deals.
That's true. That's true.
That's a good point.
That's true.
Good point. I don't care how they come. I don't care how they get here.
Yeah.
Nope. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And again, I know that obviously too, one thing I can't stop thinking about as well as, I know that Westmore is not the youngest cat, in the room anymore. I know he's getting a little bit older, and there's nothing I want more than, I think honestly, let me put it to you this way. If he wins a national championship, do you think he goes out on top?
Yeah.
Like even this year?
I think he would probably ride with this current crop. Maybe he runs it back. But if he doesn't do it in the next 2 or 3 years, I think anything past that, he definitely would call it a career and ride out into the sunset as a winner. But if he wins it this year, I think he comes back.
Yeah, I think he's still got a few more years in him, no matter what happens.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that, again, he's spent a lot of years at Chattanooga, right? I think.
Yep.
And then he's been, I think this is 11th or 12th year here at NC State, and so and life is good right now. So that's one thing I'll say is, life is good for him right now. He's got everything he wants. I know he loves Raleigh. Him and his wife love Raleigh, and pretty much whatever Westmore wants to get paid, Boo will pay him, no doubt about it. And
he picked up a lot of extra change last year with that run. So with all the championships,
all the bonuses, and as he should. And,
absolutely.
I think a lot of contracts should honestly be
incentive laden
like that.
Yeah, I think a lot are. I know, Doran and his staff got bonuses for the 10 wins, which they sort of got, and
they should have.
making, like I think most, maybe not to the extent, maybe some are more heavily incentive driven, but I think almost all coaches have some sort of bonus incentive in their contracts.
Well, you got to keep dangling that carrot and make them keep working hard. If not, you just not that I say coaches rest on their laurels. I think they're built differently than most of us, but I think you definitely give them something to keep fighting for.
Yep. So obviously moving on here. So one of the things that we gotta talk about here is women's and men's tennis, and I think I'm trying to find where we are, because I know, so women's tennis lost in the Elite Eight
4-3
to number 4 Duke.
Yeah.
Number 4 Duke on Friday, 4-3. So definitely tough loss there. And then men's tennis lost in the Sweet
previous
16.
week. Yeah, the previous week.
Yeah, they
In the
lost
Sweet
last
16
weekend.
to TCU, number 1 seed TCU. So
Yeah.
definitely nothing lost there by losing to the number 1 seed in TCU at TCU. So again, definitely another historic season for men's and women's tennis. Again, just goes to show once again, y'all, that we say this every single week. There's so much good going on in NC State athletics, and unfortunately, here one of the issues that we're starting to see now is that now we're kind of starting to hit that dead period. Where it's going to slow down a little bit. So that's why I really want NC State to make it to the NCAA tournament at least. That way, we could just kind of expand this dead period out a little longer. And that was why last year, honestly, was so great, because we were in basically the late June still talking NC State baseball. We were kind of spoiled.
So on women's tennis, they are playing like singles and doubles, so they're out of the team championships, but there's still 2 singles played today, and both won. So their first round matchup, so that's good. And then I think they're playing doubles sometime later in the week.
Yep, absolutely. So again, I mean, it's not necessarily over yet by any means, but obviously the team championship is what you look for. And obviously with women's tennis making it to the Final Four last year, like, could they go further this year? But again, it wasn't in the cards. But hey, I mean, 2 Elite Eights and in back-to-back years, I think I'll be happy with that. So I don't think I'll lose any sleep on that. But I'll tell you though, one of the interesting things I wanted to kind of bring up was, first of all, before we move any further, is obviously sporting the Hurricanes over here. Obviously, tough loss game 3 yesterday. For those who do not know, Greg the Leg might be a Lightning fan.
Not might.
Okay, not might. He is definitely.
They're playing right now, right?
Yep, it's 0-0. I just checked. So
okay, but you're up 3-0. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
We're
the only series that's 3-0. So we'll be waiting for you guys hopefully in the next round.
Hey, well, again, I know this isn't Hurricanes talk here, but again, at the end of the day, Brian Brandon Moore said it best in the 2001 championship documentary, saying, you got Wolfpack fans, Blue Devils fans, Carolina fans, but then they were all Raleigh fans. Like, when it comes to Hurricanes, we're all Raleigh fans. And so one of the things I want to say real quickly though is that it was obvious during the Capital series that Florida played in round 1 that Florida, didn't look too great against the Capitals either. So I that's why I think, honestly, I don't know what it is, but for some reason they were like, I remember seeing like a picture of like basically like the Panthers during the regular season. You see this like, this tiger's panther, from the wild and all ferocious, and then in the postseason you see the Carolina Panther. It's like, wow, that's mean. But I mean, that's true though. So
I call them the kitties. The kitties.
Yeah. That's what they've been. And I feel bad, honestly, for Claude Giroux, because, man, that dude, I think he was really excited for the season, and I think he really felt he could finally win his first Stanley Cup this year. But it ain't going to happen. So
not looking good so far.
If it's not this game, it's going to be next game. It's going to happen. You're not going to win 4 games in a row against the Lightning.
3 times. So
he's trying.
Yeah.
Trying to jinx you.
So huge game tomorrow.
I'm gonna give him another round of COVID if he don't shut up.
so again, huge game tomorrow, game 4. I don't remember what time. I think it's
we're playing. Oh, for you guys. Yeah, you guys are tomorrow.
I don't care about you anymore.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah.
All
right, hate. The problem with haters is they're gonna hate. So I think we got 3 cups. What do you guys got? 1?
Yeah. Okay. No. Vasilevsky has 3 cups, or has 2 cups in a row.
Yeah, that's 2.
Vasilevsky won it. Yeah. The Vasilevsky was unreal. So
he's the man. All you need is a good goalie and 1 goal.
Yeah, that's true.
Good goalie and 1 goal.
One good.
That's all you need.
Exactly. So game 4 tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Hopefully, we can take that 3 games to 1 series lead. So that way we could be in great position to face Greg the Legs, Tampa Bay Lightning. So
just last thought on that. What is your thoughts on the power play, Leighton?
If it wasn't obvious, then it's never going to be obvious, I guess. And also too, if it's not clear to everybody that we literally have more goals on the penalty kill this series than we do on the power play, that's not good. And it just baffles me too, because we're so good on the penalty kill. So it's like, if you know what it takes to be a good penalty killer, how can you not know what it takes to be a good power play? Or if that's a word, I know it's not a word, but I'm just saying,
No,
like,
it's just
if
making
you
words
know
up.
if you know the recipe, how can you not use it for your own
Yeah.
good? Is what both ways. I don't know,
Yep.
but
Agreed.
and also too that Brett Pesci's been, or sorry, Martin Nakos has been quiet to say the least. So definitely looking for what's going on with him. But anyway, jump back into NC State here. So again, wanted to bring up once again that kind of share some good news first of all. So starting next week, our live streams are going to be a little bit different. And the fact that we're actually going to kind of make this more of a show where we're going to have segments, things like that. So again, make it more kind of organized per se, have segments to look forward to. Also 2 segments that you guys can know ahead of time so you guys can contribute in terms of we'll do like a mailbag segment where you guys can give us questions to answer, things like that. We'll do kind of like a tweets of the week thing, etc., things like that. Again, always coming up with ideas and etc. But again, we wanted to kind of make this a little bit more I guess easier to know what's coming, so that way you guys will be excited about what's to come and tune in with us here. So again, make sure to tune in with us next week for our live stream. And also, we'll be in touch this week as we start to gather some stuff to use in our episode next week. So looking forward to that.
And if I could throw this out there, if folks
Please.
got ideas, throw them to us on Twitter. If you got ideas or things that you guys would like us to cover, because we really do this for the fans. I mean, we enjoy talking with each other, and we talk to each other enough during the week. But if we can bring some enjoyment and some excitement and cover things that you guys want, please let us know, because we're always looking for new ideas.
Amen. Yep. No, thank you, Greg, for adding that in. Yeah, I mean, again, at the end of the day, just like we said, I mean, this is really this channel is really about the fans, for the fans, and obviously, we know what the guys like the Pack Pride and the Inside Pack Sports can offer, and so we're trying to offer everything else. Whether it's again the live reactions through the watch parties, or just sit down, talk about whatever you want, kind of deal, or again, just try and make things interesting. Sorry, I see your question there, Major Wolf.
I think you need a little bit more information. I think based on your reaction, is that what you were gonna?
So Major Wolf said, question Lane, did you come up with this because of everything in the chat, or was this planned? Was what?
I'm not really sure.
So
No, it's fine.
are you
We talked
talking
about
about
it
the
last week.
changes? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We talked about what? The changes in the show? Or we talked about. Okay, I don't know.
I'm not really sure the question.
Yeah, just clarify, Major Wolf, on that. But in the meantime, in Game 14 Alpha says that high school graduation is in the historic William Neal Reynolds Coliseum this Friday. Congratulations,
Nice.
in game
That's
for
awesome.
that.
Congrats on that.
That's awesome. And
I think Endgame's going to App State. I think if you want to throw that back in the chat, I think I remember you on one of the previous chats said you're going to App State, or maybe Charlotte. I don't remember which.
Yeah. So Major Wolf says the segments because I ask something every second. I mean, you can take contribution if you want to. I'm okay with that, Major. So, but no, not necessarily. So again, I mean, it really just comes down to that. Again, we want to create something where again we can have things kind of set up ahead of time, so that way we can get things from fans, whether it's questions, thoughts, topics you would like to discuss, things like that, as well as again, just that way you guys kind of know what's coming, so that way you'll know ahead of time, what to look forward to, kind of deal, instead of just coming on here and be like, all right, what are the guys going to talk about today, kind of deal. So, but again, we'll have some surprises though in there for sure. Again, as we roll with it per se, it'll get more surprising. But also too, we'll also be adding some very professional pieces to the show as well, which again we won't disclose those for now. You'll just have to tune in next week to see what those are all about. Exactly.
If I can just piggyback off that real quick, Leighton, too. I think we just want to see the channel grow. I mean, we want to evolve the channel. So, if you notice that the great Leighton and Macon created this, and they've added both Michael and myself, and so we're just trying to grow the channel and get more eyes on it, and kind of we'll never be a professional podcast or streaming thing, but we want to get polished, and as everyone is growing in this, we want to grow too. So I think that's just kind of the next iteration of where we go with this.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And again, I mean, because at the end of the day, we want all state fans tuning in with us on these live streams and joining in the conversation. But again, it'll give us, give it time, we'll get there. So, and obviously it starts with your support. So thank you all for that.
Absolutely. All right, what's the next segment that we just creating on the fly?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the next segment is going to be watch Layton drink some water, because that's pretty much what it's been, unfortunately. And
UNC Asheville.
sorry.
All right, thanks, in game. I knew.
Yeah.
I thought it was out west. I couldn't remember. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy your summer getting ready for that.
Yeah, amen. And Major Wolf says Layton will be teaching class and everyone will raise their hand to speak. No, it won't be that. It won't be that. I promise you. No, come on, Greg. Anyway,
no, I need to be like.
Yeah.
Question.
I have a thought. So one of the things I wanted to speak about was, so James Allman actually asked a question to us when we posted about Tommy White's freshman of the year, AC freshman of the year, and he asked a couple of questions. It'd be kind of interesting to discuss here at the end. So that way, I could just comment on his question, just send a link and say we discussed in here. So so James, if you're tuning in, here's your answers. So his questions were, what do you see coming in the next few years? And then, do you think he can match his freshman output next season now that everyone knows who he is? I mean, to that, I would say everybody knew who he was after that first series against Evansville.
Yeah, like the first week.
He made his appearance and well known. He arrived quickly. Go ahead, Michael.
I mean, I don't have any reason to think he would regress at all. I mean,
no.
I think he seems like he's a like one of the most polished hitters as a freshman I've seen in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, I expect it to continue.
I think, just personally, he's going to be in the program now another year. He'll have a full off season to get bigger, stronger, work on anything that the coaches think that he needs to work on, whether that's, I don't know, plate discipline, going the other way, whatever it is that they think that he needs to improve on. Because from
power.
My untrained eye, power. I think he lacks that a little bit. Maybe get a haircut. I don't know what they did from him. He did actually. Yeah, you're right. I did see the picture of that. Maybe because it's getting so hot. But what I'm getting at is, obviously they know what he needs to work on, whether it's, like I said, plate coverage, maybe cutting his swing back a little bit with two strikes, whatever it is that they see. I think he'll get better. But transversely, I think the league's going to get better with him too, right? You've already saw about halfway through the season getting the Barry Bonds treatment, if you will, getting walked. And so if anything, our hitters behind him will need to be as good next year to have his back.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And another thing, it wasn't like he just came in and hit home runs and then his other at bats he struck out. Like he hit, I think, 370 in the regular season.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, a lot of doubles. I mean, a lot of doubles. He didn't get cheated at the plate, and when I say his plate discipline, I was just throwing things out. I think he's very well disciplined. But he knows when he can go big, and then he knows when he needs to just get on base, for the keep the line moving. So I don't know how much he needs to work on. Obviously, there's stuff that maybe he didn't play a lot in the field the second half of the season. Did a lot of DHing.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something that he was going to need to do based on the needs of the team.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I think it was funny. I was watching actually a video of David Ortiz getting a tour of the Baseball Hall of Fame, and one quote which he brought up, which I thought I think I've heard this quote before, but hearing again, I was like, that's so true. Is how baseball is the only thing in life where you could go 3 for 10 and be successful, and
you fail 70%.
If you fail 70% of the time and you're still successful,
you're a Hall of Famer if you fail 70% of the time.
Right, that's crazy. And so I mean, again, I think that to me, I think that with Tommy White and the obvious skill that he has, I feel confident that no matter what they put at him, that of all the times that he's actually thrown the ball, aka if he's not walked or whatever it is, that he's going to make contact and get into the field, if not over the fence, 30% of the time. I mean, that's just plain simple. It is what it is. Now, again, I think that we really need to address, again, the relief pitching. We really need to address again, I think a lot of this will really come with experience. I think that, like, for example, because other things, obviously the fielding errors, and I know that that's been a huge issue the entire year. I think a lot of that, again, will come with experience. And honestly, if starting at the offseason, once we know who's coming back, if everybody can know what position they're going to play, because I mean, again, I think that probably a lot to play with it, as well as that pretty much the whole offseason, pretty much the whole first half of the season, we were shuffling lineups. Like, everybody was trying out different positions, things like that. And so you didn't really get a lot of chance to get the experience at that position, playing defense at the position that a lot of other teams did. So, but now the one thing which I'll say as well is that, for those who say, man, last year we were at the College World Series, and then here we are barely at the bubble. That one thing I want to point out is Mississippi State. Won the national championship last year. They won the national championship last year. For those who have not seen it, they're dead last in the SEC. Dead last. Yeah. It's crazy.
Leighton, you brought up, shuffling people around. If you remember, Gino started in left field, then JT got injured. He went to second, and then he ended up going to first. So, that really highlights what you're getting at. So once you get these guys, knowing what position they're going to play, they can really focus on the defensive aspect of it. So I think next year you're going to see a much different, approach. Again, injuries dictated a lot of that stuff, and who knows, we could get that next year. But at least these guys have now gotten some experience. Gino has now played left. He's played second. He's played first. So now this won't be new. I didn't really obviously follow him at Charlotte, so I don't know what his primary position was there. But you're getting game experience, albeit at the cost of this season. But it bodes well for the future.
Yeah. Now Major Wolf brings up Vandy, and they haven't necessarily been as big of a drop off, obviously. But yeah, I mean, they're middle tier of the SC right now, which is kind of funny, a little bit, to be honest with you. So,
two top 10 pitchers,
anybody would hurt with that. So, and also in game 14, Alpha brings up the famous Moneyball. Why do I want this guy? Because he can get on base, and I think Tommy White is definitely, he can get on base and then some for sure. So he can offer a lot more than just to get on base. So, but. Anyway, so and then in terms of what do you see for the next few years? And I mean, again, one thing to remind fans as well, once again, is that you're going to get Tommy White for at least 2 more years. Yep. As long as nothing happens in terms of like injury or something dumb like that, then I mean, again, he can't even go to the draft for at least another 2 years. Now, again, I mean, obviously in 2 years, he's going to go to the draft. He's going to be a first rounder. It's like, just, I mean, again, and I'm taking that again with assumption with that he continues
everything projects
without injury and anything like that. Right. But I mean, if he continues, just generally, not like he has to be better next season, but like if he just does this for 3 years, first rounder guaranteed. So
he would break the NC State all-time home run record if he hit 23 more home runs each season. I mean, he would shatter it. He would shatter it.
Yeah, that's a given. Like, but I mean, that's a good point. I'm just saying, like, it's like, I mean, that's just, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So
right.
He's only 3 away from the NCAA freshman record this season. So
right,
could still hit that.
And I think NC State's all time is 55 or 56. I think so. If you think about it, he's already almost halfway there.
Yeah.
So he no, I'm not putting pressure on the guy, but he could theoretically, I think, beat it next year if we make postseason and all of that. It's not inconceivable for him to take a step up. It's just not. I mean,
because that's all. I would say yes to that, assuming that we have a decent postseason run.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
I think that's one of the issues is that. I think he could honestly get 30 home runs, assuming we have a good postseason.
Yeah, because you're looking at least 6 to 15 more games.
Right. Exactly.
Depending on how you do.
So I mean, I see. I could see it there for sure. But I mean, I couldn't even imagine him coming into his junior year and he's already broken the home run record. That just seems redonkulous. So
I know it's crazy to think, but I mean, he could be a top 5, top 10 pick. Maybe it's not. Everything you have to see how it all works out. But I'm sure there's some draft website out there that it's already projecting out 3 years from now, or 2 years. It wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, it wouldn't.
Well, and to not say either that he is this, but I mean, I see him a lot as kind of like a David Ortiz type, where I mean, again, he's the power guy, but he can make it work, and he's not a speed guy, but he can get it work, and he can get the ball in play. Like, at the end of the day, he's a guy that I don't think that a lot of pitchers want to face, and it's obvious by how many times he was walked this year. So, but again, because he's not just a power hitter. Again, just like you were saying, he's a guy that can get in and play. He's a guy that can make the plays that are needed. So, but again,
and now that,
outside
now
of
that
Tom,
I was going to say, now that Major League Baseball has gone to DHs on both leagues,
it makes it more valuable.
There's a position there for him. So even if he never got better at defense, I think people would take him just for his hitting.
Yeah,
a lot of guys have made a lot of money just hitting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, MLB is now just a home run league. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So, but besides Tommy White, though, again, just like we were saying, James. So, I mean, assuming hopefully that Sam Highfield comes back, which I think he wants a redemption year for sure. Same thing with Chris. I wouldn't be surprised if he came back either. But again, wouldn't be surprised either, honestly, because last year, around this time, I would have said that like Terrell Tatum, probably would have given it a year, even though he had a great year. I don't know. I was shocked that we lost 7 players, honestly. So I'm not really going to be shocked either if a guy like Sam Highfield and Chris, who I see, makes sense they come back, but they don't.
Here's the great thing about baseball too, is you can get drafted and not go. So that's like, where it's vastly different from football and basketball. You keep your name in the draft, and if you get drafted in the 20th round and you're like, I don't want to do that, you can stay around and get drafted in the 5th round the next year. So just don't assume that these guys get drafted that they're automatically gone. I mean, they obviously have to make decisions best for them, but so there's still hope that these guys do come back.
Absolutely. So, and again, transfer portal, college sports is not the same anymore, folks. So just keep that in mind that again, it's
definitely
like
not.
You could be cheering for a whole new 9 next year. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying, I mean, look at men's basketball. I mean, it's going to be a lot.
We didn't even talk about that this week.
No. Well, just have there been any new commitments since?
No, I meant with Sebron and Smith doing.
Right. Yeah, we'll touch on that real quick. Kind of wrapping up here, but yeah, obviously, Sebron and Big T. Again, some people keep calling him Baby T. I'm like, listen, the plays that he made last year, he's Big T. Okay, he's Big T. Yeah. And again, I mean, they both balled out. I think they both actually shot the best statistically of any prospect that shot at the combine. And now the one thing which I thought was funny is that Big T, if I'm not mistaken, was the second lightest prospect in the draft as well, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, he would be the second lightest player in the NBA too.
Yeah, wow, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, 165. So yeah, I weighed that in 3rd grade. So
I mean, Smith. I mean, both. So the first day in the scrimmages, both players had led their scrimmage team with 17 points. Smith, he wasn't. It was almost exactly like what he did here. He led the team in scoring, but it wasn't exactly the most efficient. He was 6 of 17 and 3 of 10 from 3. And then he decided to sit out the second day. He thought he did enough on that first day.
Which is an interesting move.
We'll see how it plays out, Cotton.
Yeah.
Now the one thing which I'll say too is that the last mock draft I saw had Big T going, I think it was 26 or 28 to the Golden State Warriors, which I thought, man, like, geez, having him shoot beside Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, that'd be sick. But he's pretty much said openly that, I mean, he wants a guarantee that he's going to be a first rounder. And he also wants to ideally be a top 20 draft pick, which, again, for anybody who knows, pretty much wherever your mock draft at, go down about 5 or 10 spots. And that's probably where you're actually going to get drafted for the most part. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a routine thing.
He's in the bottom half. Yeah.
For the most part, mock drafts are kind of a little bit early with it. I mean, look at Kunane, for example.
Yeah.
Golly, that girl dropped. So and even Equanu as well. I mean, Equanu was talked about as being number 1, number 2, and then he went 6. So again, I don't know. I just I don't see NBA teams making any kind of promises. That's for daggone sure. So
and they both talked to the News and Observer after the combine and said that neither had received a guarantee from any team. So Smith has a pro day on Wednesday with his agent. Like, all of the agent he signed with, like, each agent has their own pro day, and with all the players that they've signed. So he has that on Wednesday. I didn't see anything about Sebron. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to hear something from either of them by the end of this week.
And then you say they had until next Monday to stay or pull out of the draft. What was that?
So next Wednesday, June 1st, is technically the deadline that they have to remove their name from the draft if they want to come back to school. If they don't, then they can stay in.
Yep.
So that means
that's the next date for us to look for.
Yeah, so that means that hopefully a week from now we'll know one way or the other. So to kind of wrap it up though, so what are y'all's predictions? Do you think Big T Sebron come back?
I don't even know. It's so hard to predict at this point.
It's changed so much, hasn't it?
Yeah, because originally, before the combine, I was thinking and reading that Smith was leaning on coming back, but he played so well. But now they both went on the record and said that they didn't get any guarantees yet. They're both still undecided. So I don't know. I won't be surprised either way.
I think it's, and to your point, I think it's 50-50. I really do.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't surprise me. If I were smart, I'd come back, but money changes everybody, and I respect their decision regardless. And who knows what happens in the future if they get, injured or I would never, hope for that. But I mean, it is life. It is life, right?
Right.
It's a big gamble, do you gamble on yourself, or do you take maybe the safer route and come back to school and improve your draft stock? By doing that, you get, more money, but at a cost of a year of your career. I don't know.
Well, and because let me say this too, because one of the things that that Big T said is that he's going to talk with Keats. And because let me talk at it from a Big T perspective and a C-bomb perspective. So if I'm Big T, I'm saying, okay, if I balled out, like which I did at the combine, I balled out, and I'm still, mocked at like the end of the first round, and I'm not even guaranteed a first rounder. To me, I'm like, okay, come on now. Like it's like so to me, I'm like, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna make it that they're gonna have to pay much more for me, down the road kind of deal. Like, I don't know. I just kind of see, because he's so young. Again, he's so young and he could do so much here. But I mean, because one thing which I would say to Big T and Sebron is that, like, if we had them back combined with having Drakel Joyner, DJ Burns, all these guys, we're going to be pretty good next year.
Yeah, have a better supporting cast
next year. So,
to your point, late night, I think I texted in the group earlier this week that based on that performance at the combine, the only thing stopping Smith from being a top 5, top 10 pick next year in the draft is basically injury. Like, I mean, I think he'll
get some muscle.
He'll be even.
I see he needs 10 to 15 pounds of muscle, or whatever he's getting coached up to say, be. And I don't know.
He'll be a favorite for ACC Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, I see, like, more honestly likelihood that Sebron will leave just because he's been playing at State for a couple of years now, and he probably wants to go get some money, which I get. But the one thing too, which I would say that I know about Sebron, which I don't necessarily know kind of Big T situation, but one thing I do know, unless something's changed, which I don't know yet. Again, I'm like, I'm not like the People's Magazine here, but I do know that he was, or at least up till now, I don't know otherwise if he's still in a relationship with Jada Boyd as well. And so, since she's still going to be at State, does that not any enticement to him saying, hey, I could just stay at State and, hang around with Jada. I can, improve my game and be a little bit more consistent and then kill it again next year. I don't know. Again, because to me, I hope that's a bad taste in their mouth how last season went. And so, like, if I'm telling Sebron and them, hey, listen, guys, I got y'all some dogs now.
Yeah.
And I got y'all a big man. And we're gonna shock the world this year. I mean, and now again, I mean, ACC is going to be incredibly difficult this year, just like it was last year, just like it has been. But I mean, opportunities there. I'm just saying, again, I'm not saying that with Sebron's Big T comes back that we're like, predict to win it all necessarily, but I'm saying I think you're immediately in the conversation of you're right back in the middle of the ACC conversation, theoretically, from what the piece you got.
I think middle of the ACC, like, I don't know, that 6 to 10 range, I think would be reasonable. And now with the Pack of Wolves collective, they can hopefully they're working on an NIL deal if they do come back.
Yep, they just added another piece.
Yeah, absolutely. So to kind of wrap things up in game 14, I'm going to go ahead and guess that one will go to the NBA and one will stay. It could be T that stays because he loves Keith so much, but I don't know. It could go any way at this point. Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's a complete guess, but let me tell you, if Sebron and Big T shock the world and come back, we're gonna be partying like it's 1999. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But I think we're all in agreement. If it's one that stays and ones and goes, Smith comes back, Sebron goes. I think we can all agree on that.
Probably.
That'd be my guess.
Yep.
All right, Wolfpack Nation. Well, thank you all so much again for tuning in with us here. Really, really excited for what hopefully this week has in store for us. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And again, as always, make sure once again as well, tune in with us next week for our brand new edition of our weekly live stream that you will not want to miss. And we'll also be in touch as well about a lot of different updates, some that are in preparation for that new live stream upcoming this week. And In-Game says, man, I miss Beverly right now. And anyway, so I miss Beverly the person. I don't know what to say about the player, but anyway. So once again, though, make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so that way you do not miss out whenever we release new NC State content, and also so that way you do not miss and you're actually notified when we go live next Monday as well. Because again, you will not want to miss out on that. And also to give us a follow, Tuffy Talk on Twitter or Instagram if you haven't already. And also too, again, make sure to tune in as you hopefully will not see me drinking water as much on our next episode. So I apologize for that, everybody. But thank you all so much again for tuning in. As always,